With AI and overstimulation and tech addiction, does it feel like we may be hurtling towards an overly tech-based world? I mean, we have devices to track our sleep, our home security, our cars have become Kit from Knight Rider, and we are longing for the days when we didn't have technology seeping into every single aspect of our lives. So this might be why people are gravitating towards a lower tech lifestyle. So what does this really entail? And is this trend going to stick around for a bit or fade away like crimped hair and pegged jeans? Now, don't get me wrong, I adore technology. I'm not about to give up the comforts I've become accustomed to, like navigation. I mean, how in the world did we even find anything when I was growing up? We didn't have maps. I mean, we had like maybe some paper maps, but when my friend's house was on such and such street, how did I even find it? I can't remember how I found anything back in the 90s. But for all the great things technology helps us accomplish, there are definitely some downsides and ways that technology uses us instead of using it. So what are people doing these days? So I've seen a huge uptick in the dumb phone transition. So there are products like the Wise phone that has been released. There are other like minimal phones that have been released that people are gravitating towards. There's also people buying Nokia bricks, you know, the phone that I had back in the early 2000s, maybe even late 90s. People are gravitating towards these devices. There's even a like home phone device called Tin Can, and I know Pinwheel has also released a device similar where it uses VoIP, so voice over IP. So the phone just plugs into your internet and you can have a phone number on this phone, but you're not going to be able to take it anywhere. It's going to be super limited in who it can contact, and you would have to talk to them on the phone. There's not texting available on these kinds of phones. So you've seen a huge uptick in devices like that. A lot of people are also using e-ink devices. Note-taking tablets have gotten a huge uptick in the last couple of years. So Kindle Scribe Colorsoft, which is the one I use, Remarkable, Supernote, all of these kind of they're pretty expensive, but on the surface, it kind of looks a little more analog than, say, like an iPad or a tablet, where you're going to have a lot of other distractions and it's not as easy on the eyes. There's also a lot of like screen-free toys that are coming out. So it used to be the more noises the toy makes, the more buttons and whistles it has, the more entertaining it is going to be for your child. They've stepped away from that, and I've seen a lot of toys like old school blocks and other kinds of toys that are going really low tech instead of adding more bells and whistles. So why is this happening? A lot of it has to do with the mental health aspect. There's been a lot of reports on the mental health problems that are associated with technology use, even especially with kids and teenagers and social media. There's a lot of talk around mental health and technology. Also, other damaging effects have been shown. So like blue light effects from different screens, like so tablets and computers have this blue light emanating from them. And there's been a lot of talk about the damage that is doing to everyone's vision. And I'm going to say a lot of people are seeing so much AI stuff and they're getting kind of sick of trying to figure out what is real and what is not. They want a simpler time when I see a photo of something and I know that actually happened because I see the photo, instead of all of this, okay, is that real? Is that not? What is real going on? So a lot of these problems that are cropping up in today's technology world are one of the reasons why people are gravitating towards these low-tech options. It's also kind of interesting to see a shift in how being offline has been moved from being kind of like outdated to a status symbol of mental health. Like, oh, I never use my phone, or, oh yeah, I am so healthy. I never watch TV and I never do this. Whereas before, you have to have the latest and greatest things. Now people are saying, oh, I'm so great because I don't use the latest and greatest things. Another thing we've been kind of doing is going back to more a tactile experience. So like I said, with the e-ink devices where you're writing and it feels like a pen and a piece of paper, we are craving that like paper planner, film. So in a world of pixels, we're kind of craving texture. They call it like sensory grounding. And I think you've probably heard people say, go touch grass, right? Because touching grass, you're outside and you're getting out in the world and having another tactile experience instead of just the smooth surfaces of your devices. And a lot of technology is aimed at keeping you passive. So algorithms feed you the information you want. You don't have to go searching for it. While low tech requires you to be active, you choose what you want to see, what you're entertained by. So people are no longer interested in somebody else telling me what I want to see. I want to have that choice for myself. So how do we get back to kind of a more middle ground state? So one of the things that you can do is buy a device that is a single-use device. So what I'm talking about is being intentional about your device usage. So let's say you watch a lot of YouTube on your phone. You can buy a smart TV and watch YouTube on the smart TV. And so you're not watching it on your phone, you're watching it on the TV. So anytime I'm going to be entertained by a video, I'm going to be sitting down on the couch watching TV. Another thing you can do is buy an e-reader. So if I want to read a book, I'm not on my tablet and switching back and forth between different apps. I am just reading the book on this e-reader, or a dedicated alarm clock so the phone stays in the kitchen and it's not right next to your bed. I do talk about some of these options in my technology addiction episode, so you might want to check that out. But really being intentional about your device usage and using devices for a single use concept. Because, back in the day, we had a phone, we had a pager, we had an iPod and a camera. And now all of this is kind of built into one device. And it's hard when you're using the same device for all of these different functions. It feels like you're just using that device so much. So when you kind of separate that out again, then you're not using that device extensively. Another thing you can do is kind of have an analog morning and evening. So 30 minutes after you wake up, 30 minutes before you go to bed, turn off all the technology, don't watch TV, read a book, do things that are analog instead of on technology to kind of give you that wind up and wind down part of your day. It won't feel as technology focused for the whole entire day. And maybe try out some of these products I've talked about, like the Tin Can or the Wise Phone, and see how that helps you. There's also apps that you can install, like Space, to help with technology addiction. Like I said, I go into a lot more details on that technology addiction video, so definitely check that one out. The question I like to think about is, do I think these kinds of products are going to still be around in 2 to 5 years? Specifically, like with the Tin Can phone, I don't see those lasting very long. And here's why. There's a reason that people got rid of their home phones. It wasn't convenient. If my kid needs to go to a soccer game or a practice of some sort, they can't take that home phone with them, and I still need to get a hold of them. So it's not very often that we're just have the kids at the house when we are not home. And if we do, we have a babysitter and the babysitter has a phone. So having a home phone, while it's kind of kitschy and niche right now, that people are like, oh, this is so great, it's just like when I was a kid, that nostalgia feeling is going to wear off, and then it's not going to be as useful as like having a cell phone. So it's going to have them upgrade to a cell phone pretty quickly. I do know people who will have a cell phone that's on their plan that just stays at the home and is kind of their home phone in that sense. But what's great about that option is that it can go with the child when they have a practice, when they're out at the park or doing something else. It can travel with them so that they can have a little more autonomy and not be tied down with that cord to the house. And it's just so crazy to me that these phones are kind of making a resurgence and again, it's in one location. I remember when we had a cordless phone, it was so much better than our corded phones. And some of these nostalgia type phones are corded phones. So you have to be in one spot in order to talk on the phone. But who's really talking on the phone much anymore? So again, these kinds of devices are limited. They're would have to constantly get new customers. I think the nostalgia factor is going to wear out pretty quickly and they won't be around in about 2 to 5 years. It's similar to, would I go back to printing out a MapQuest directions and trying to use that when I'm trying to find something? Absolutely not. The technology that exists is so much better than what we used to use, and there's a reason we don't use it anymore. So I think it's going to be similar. Like, just like I'm not going to print out MapQuest directions to my friend's house, I'm also not going to keep around a home phone. So my question to you is, are you participating in the low-tech movement in any way? What do you think the longevity of devices like the tin can or the pinwheel phone are going to be? Or even like those lower tech phones, like, getting a Nokia phone. How much longer do you think people are going to keep doing stuff like that? Do you embrace the internet of everything? Like I said, everything has a connection to the internet these days, from your stove to your water bottles, whatever. So everything's kind of tracking information about you. And we are moving towards everything having an internet connection or Wi-Fi. Maybe we all just need to get outside and touch some grass from time to time. Leave our phone at home while we go on that walk. Think about that for a bit and let me know. So stay connected without getting tangled up in the wires, and I'll see you in the next upload.